everyone, welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out, check them out. But first, stay on this one. So, in this video, we got to talk about something pretty important happening in the gun world here. Whether you view it as a positive or not, I personally view it as a negative. But just so you guys can see, we are indeed clear. Of course, I had to bring out my Gen 3 Glock 23 for this video. You guys saw the title, you read did that backwards. You saw the thumbnail, you read the title. Let's get right into it, guys. So, Glock has made a big announcement. And, you know, it's kind of funny because for years, all we used to hear is how Glock never changes. They just repeat the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I guess they decided to take us for a left turn here that we weren't prepared for. Glock has announced that they are discontinuing a lot of their models. Let's talk about it. For starters, they have decided they're discontinuing all 40 caliber models. So this means you're 22, you're 23, you're 27, whatever other 40 caliber models they have. Those are the only three that come up off the top of my head right now. But my whole point is no more 40 caliber Glocks. That is kind of insane. I really can't believe it here. It makes no sense to me personally as to why Glock would do that. I mean, I get it's not the most popular caliber. On top of discontinuing all 40 Smith & Wesson models, which doesn't make sense because, again, if Glock really is after money, you know, I get it, 40 is not exactly the most popular cartridge, but it still does sell. On top of that, they are discontinuing all 357 SIG models. Now, does this upset me too much? No, not really. I mean, 357 SIG, I've even stated, is indeed a dead caliber. So it's not like I'm going to be able, like, I understand, I can search online. I get that. But in your average gun store, you're probably not going to find 357 SIG. And of course, when I made that statement in the video talking about how 357 SIG is dead, of course, I happen to get people that just, you know, of course, in the specific local gun stores for them had 357 SIG. So of course, you know, but on top of all 40 cal models, on top of all 357 SIG models, they are also getting rid of all 45 GAP models. They are also discontinuing those. And that one, it kind of makes sense. 45 GAP, another pretty much dead cartridge, but also it's kind of a gray area because it was never really a cartridge that gained any motion or any life to it to begin with in order for it to die down. It just kind of was like, oh, drop right down. You know what I mean? Like 45 GAP, it's not really that big of a deal. You're not going to find that too often. So Glock discontinuing them doesn't really bother me too much. More so as a collector, does it bother me? Yeah. You know, I'm sure now it's going to be a bit more difficult. But apparently, from what I've also heard, they're discontinuing certain Gen 3 models, like not even 40 or 357 SIG or, you know, 45 GAP. Like, from what I've heard, they're going to be discontinuing the Glock 34s as well, which I thought that was kind of odd in my opinion, you know? Was there any statement as to why Glock has done this? As far as my understanding, no. It really doesn't make sense to me though, because in all reality, what that just leaves them with is that leaves them with 9mm, 45 ACP, 380 ACP, 22 LR. There's no other caliber that they even make firearms for other than those. When you take out the 45 GAP, the 40 Smith & Wesson, the 357 SIG, I mean, do I think it's a good idea? I personally don't. But also, I mean, hey, I don't run a, you know, multi-billion-dollar, you know, gun company. What I can say, though, is it has made me want to cling to my Gen 3 Glock 23 a good bit more. I am probably never going to get rid of this thing. And if I do get rid of it, I'm going to wait until it's probably going to be worth a bit of money just because it's a Gen 3 23, it's a 40. And some of you guys might be wondering, really, what is the big deal about them getting rid of, the 40 caliber guns, the 357 SIG guns? One of the cool things about Glocks is the interchangeability of them. So, for example, if I were to take a Glock 19, I could actually swap slides and even just barrels if I wanted to with the Glock 19 and this Glock 23, provided, of course, that the 19 is a Gen 3, just like this one is. And that's pretty cool. That would mean that, what someone else who would have provided the Glock 19 knew as their 9mm Glock 19 can now shoot 40 and basically be a Glock 23. All you have to do is just swap minor parts, or if you want to, you could just swap the entire slide. And I mean, of course, that would be a bit quicker, but I'm just very, very surprised that Glock did this. Because my thought on it is, okay, they just want to sell more 9mm 45, 380 pistols, whatever, right? But also some of the guns they're discontinuing, again, like the 34, is a 9mm. So I'm confused as to why they're doing this. Am I excited to see what it might be for, if there's something new that they have going on, which is as to why they've stopped doing it? Yeah, that would be cool. But do I really think there's anything like that happening? Probably not. No. Uh, Overall, I can say I'm kind of disappointed in Glock. I'm not going to lie here. Glock doesn't, in my opinion, Glock doesn't make too many bad decisions as a company. I mean, they made the Glock 44. Not a fan of that. I think that was a bad decision. They discontinued the Glock 17 MOS Gen 5 models for the Glock Model 47s, which I think that was ridiculous. They're basically the same gun. Other than that, though, there really isn't too much you could say bad about Glock as a company and the choices they've made. Excuse me. I now have something I can complain about Glock. I don't really get why they decided to do that. Maybe the 45 GAP, that makes sense. Fine, whatever. You guys created the caliber. It never really gained any motion. Discontinue the models. That's fine. Whatever. What did 40 Smith & Wesson have to do with that? I mean, to a lesser extent, because I personally, again, think 357 SIG is dead. But what did 357 SIG have to do with that? 45 GAP, I get. It makes sense to me. I just personally don't get the other ones. Maybe don't produce them as much, you know what I mean? Obviously, that's going to be varied based off the number of sales for the models. But discontinuing them overall, I think, was a rash decision. But that's just my thoughts. Again, I don't own a multi-million, possibly multi-billion dollar gun company. I'm just some goober on the internet. But with that being said, I do think that about wraps it up for this video. It's just Glock. I'm very disappointed about this. I really am. If you have a 357 SIG Glock, if you have a 40 Smith & Wesson Glock, if you have a 45 GAP Glock, hold on to them. Do not get rid of them. If you don't have one, they are selling for fairly cheap right now. You should probably go get one and hold on to it. Why? Do I think that these are going to be worth a ton of money? No, but do I think that, one, you'll probably want to have one, and two, even if you don't want to have one in the future, it will probably raise in price just a little bit. At least it'll be worth your time a bit. But I'm flabbergasted. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this video now. I know I've said that like 3 times. Y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all and. Whether or not you agree with me about my thoughts and about my disappointments with Glock for discontinuing all 40 Smith & Wesson models, all 357 SIG models, and all 45 GAP models, go ahead and comment your thoughts down below. And I mean, at first when I heard about this, guys, I thought it was just a rumor. When I was told, I was like, man, that sucks. When I first heard about it, I truly thought it was a rumor. And to find out it's not is very disappointing. But again, go ahead and comment your thoughts down below. Make sure to check out all my other videos. Y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.